Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, May 14th, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder, whoever hasn't signed in to the guest sheet over there, please do so. Another reminder, just that if anyone wishes to speak, you're to raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. And we have one voice at a time speaking. If you wish to converse with your neighbor in the audience, we just ask that you take it out in the hallway so that everyone can hear and our recording secretaries can record accurate information. I would like to introduce our interim town manager. This is John Madigan. And John has 25 years town manager experience in Mexico, Rumford, Eastport. Did you start off in Monson? Monson.
And a little town in Dixfield.
Okay.
And now Rangeley.
Yeah. So we are thankful that we got someone of John's caliber to work with us as our interim town manager, and we'll enjoy learning from you as we go along as well. So thank you.
Hope I can be worthwhile for you all.
John, any adjustments to the agenda? I think we just have a little addition to your town manager's report, but that doesn't require an adjustment.
Okay.
Moving on to section 3, review and approve meeting minutes. And we've got a list to go through since we didn't have a quorum present the last time. So first, for April 2nd, 2018, that was a budget meeting.
I make a motion to accept the budget meeting minutes for Monday, April 2nd, as presented.
Shelley's motion.
Second.
And Donnie seconds.
Donnie wasn't here.
Donnie wasn't here. Donnie weren't here. You can't second it.
No.
Dave seconds. All those in favor? And that's unanimous, 3-0. One abstain. Moving on to our regular Selectmen's meeting for April 2nd, 2018.
I make a motion to accept the minutes for our regular Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, April 2nd.
Second.
Donnie's motion, Dave seconds. Comments, questions? All those in favor? And Donnie's abstaining. Next, we move on to an April 4th special meeting to sign the Selectmen's warrant.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for Wednesday, April 4th, as presented with any corrections.
Second.
Dave's motion, Dave seconds. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. One abstain.
I wasn't at the next one. Go ahead, Donnie.
So the
I
next,
wasn't at the next one, Philip.
so next we've got a regular Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, April 23rd, 2018.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we approve the meeting minutes for April 23rd, 2018, with any corrections or additions.
Okay.
Second.
Donnie's motion and Dave seconds. Any comments, questions? All those in favor? And Shelley, you're abstaining. And lastly, we've got a we've got meeting minutes for Monday, April 30th, 2018.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we approve the Monday, April 30th minutes of the Rangeley Board of Selectmen with any corrections or additions.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. All right. Moving on to section 4, any public to speak on a non-agenda item? Yes, Mark?
I was just wondering, I know there's been a lot going on with the town manager, fire chief, all that kind of stuff, but I was wondering if the town was ready to put out a press release about the upcoming warrant and the absentee ballots and how we're written voting, just for refreshment for everyone from last year. You know, we put it in the press quite often there leading up to it, and I think it was effective getting the message out. And so I was just thinking, you know, the Irregular, the Highlander, the town website, you know, just because we're only a month away. And,
Right.
you know, the local paper only comes out once every 2 weeks, so I think it's important we try to get that message out there.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes?
Yes, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm David Miller, the new director for Rangeley Lakes Heritage Trust. And before Tim left, I met with him and asked how the trust could contribute more to the community. He said, well, one thing is you show up for town or selectmen meetings when you're not asking for money. So I thought I'd show up now. And
Good job.
thanks. And if it works for you, I'd like to be able to come in like 4 times a year and just give an update on our activities.
That'd be great.
How things are going. And here's my very brief update. I'm new. I'm learning a lot of new people. We are looking to partner with other organizations in town and with whoever, especially to get young people and people in general out on all the trails in Rangeley, not just ours. And EcoVenture is looking good. It's almost completely full already for this summer. And we also, you may have heard, we're under contract with a piece of land on the McGalloway River, which is a famous fly fishing spot, mailbox pool, that we just raised money, mostly just from friends and connections of Shelby Rousseau. And we raised, I think, about $75,000 with little work involved. So that's really hopeful for taking care of that part of our country, the McGalloway, which is a beautiful river. So thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I look forward to being here more often and collaborating with you.
That's great. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. Yes?
Hi, my name is Chris Lynch from Matrix Design Group. I stopped up here about a month ago or so. 2 weeks ago, I met with Charlie Woodworth of the Greater Franklin Development Committee and provided him with a proposal from us to build a high-speed broadband network in the town of Rangeley. We estimate the project would cost about $4.8 million, of which would be investing about 3.5. We estimate the cost to get the right-of-way on the poles and all the other work that the town would have to do to be about $1.3 million. We would also be interested in building the town of Rangeley Plantation, Dallas Plantation, and also Sandy River Plantation, but Rangeley would have to be the first in order for us to expand into those 3 other towns. I'm not sure if Charlie Woodworth has been in touch with the town as far as our proposal, but I wanted to make sure that I brought a copy with me tonight, make sure I give it to whoever you think is appropriate.
Yeah, you can hand it to Tracy.
There you go.
Did you want to comment on that?
We just had a quarterly meeting. We just had a quarterly meeting with the plantations and stuff to discuss the whole presentation for our area,
Okay.
just this week.
I've only met with Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to meet with anybody else.
Yeah.
I know there's a meeting next Monday morning for the EOC, and I'm happy to attend that and give them a copy as well, because I understand that they're very involved. I know that the Franklin County Development Council is kind of running point for this, but because our agreement will be with the town, we think it's very important that the town be as informed or more informed than the Franklin County. So, anyways, Chris Lynch.
Thank you.
nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Chris. Yeah, so we were given, as Shelley said, we did have a quarterly meeting and all the plantations, and, 3 of the selectmen were present, and yeah, that's the way Charlie presented it, was they're kind of filtering through companies like yours that are offering this, this service. And
Right, he did tell me that He expects that process to be 3 to 6 months, but we believe in being 100% transparent, so whatever information that we gave him, I want to make sure that the town has as well, because in the end, it's your decision.
Yeah. So is this fiber?
Yes, 100% fiber to the home.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak on a non-agenda item? Gone. Any boards and committees present to make updates or speak to? Yes.
Ordinance Committee's meeting on Wednesday.
Okay. Ordinance on Wednesday. Any other boards and committees? All right, moving on to consent items. We first have a liquor license renewal request from Forks in the Air LLC.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we approve the liquor license renewal for Forks in the Air LLC.
Donnie's motion and Shelley seconds. Looks like all the signatures are there.
Go forward, please report on that, please.
I didn't give you permission to speak. No, put your hand up. Karen, feel free to hit him. I will see nothing. Karen, doesn't look like there's anything new. It's a renewal.
Police signed off.
Yeah, the police signed off, so there you go. All right, all those in favor? And that's unanimous. All right, we've got an event permit application for the American Legion to perform a ceremony at the monument for the observation of Memorial Day.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion we approve the event permit application from the American Legion Post 120 of the monument on Main Street to be held on 27 May 18.
Donnie's motion and Shelley seconds. Start time is 1 p.m. Was this the event last year that that the Poland Spring trucks came through and kind of drowned out? Okay. Tim tried to be proactive with Poland Spring and letting them know when we had events happening on Main Street, so that the trucks wouldn't be pulling through while, ceremonies like this are going on. So if you don't mind contacting them.
Just Poland Spring?
Just Poland Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got M&H here, so Kenny's taking notes.
Yeah, there you go.
He's paying attention.
You might want to let him know why Poland Spring is an issue. He might not even understand the truck every 15 minutes.
Yeah,
We just went through a big deal in Rumford with Poland Springs.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing issue.
yeah. I forgot to mention, John lives in Rumford, so definitely has some natural experience with that. But because we had folks complain the last time, so.
So is Memorial Day celebration at your memorial down?
It is, and it starts at 1 o'clock. It's usually over, within 20 minutes to a half hour, the most.
Police usually.
Yes.
The crowd gathers in the street in front of the memorial.
Right.
Weekend.
And yeah, and what happens is they idle loudly.
Okay.
So even the idling, I think that's what the situation was last year, is the idling, just, so,
We'll call them and,
thank you. Is there something, do we need a police signature on that? Well, they're providing coverage, so I guess John, just another thing, the police usually do provide coverage. Took road closure and they didn't sign off on this, so just as long as they're aware, because it's coming up in 2 weeks.
okay, we'll make sure that they sign off on it.
Yeah, or just, yeah.
And usually some of the fire department were there to clean it off.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Next, we have an application for a vendor license renewal from High Tide, Low Tide Seafood. And this is a seasonal application to bring their seafood truck starting Memorial Day to town. You want to make a motion?
Yep. Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the vendor's permit renewal for High Tide, Low Tide Seafood Truck to begin on Saturday, Memorial Weekend, I'm sorry. That's all I have. I don't have a date.
Second.
Thursday through Saturday, 4 to 10:30.
Okay. Donna's motion and Shelley seconds. Looks like it'll be at the usual spot at Alice's property on Main Street, as it says in the application. Comments, questions? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Next up under consent items is we have got the school warrant for the budget validation referendum. Looks like they've got a full slate of signatures from the school board.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the warrant and notice of election for calling Regional School number 78 budget validation referendum.
Donnie's motion
Second.
and Shelley seconds. Comments, questions? Guess I'll just make a comment that there are 2 vacancies on the school board that no one took out papers for. So if anyone is interested in being a write-in candidate for the school board, I'm encouraged to do so. Post it on Facebook, anything, because 2 vacancies is 2 less votes for representation for the town. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Next under consent items, we have got a letter from Tom Willis, the code enforcement officer. And this references a possible junkyard at 2301 Main Street. It's the Lanza's business property. So what Tom is asking for is a very specific motion. So he's requesting that we make a motion, we vote on the following, which will allow the code enforcement office to assist in dealing with a possible junkyard situation on Main Street in Rangeley. He states this is a property that has solid waste and many bottles and cans that have accumulated without proper management. The bottle redemption license expired December 31st of 2017 and will not be renewed by the state of Maine DEP. He goes on to say he has 2 Maine DEP officials coming up on May 17th to conduct an inspection. So looking for that specific motion.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, I move that we vote to delegate the authority vested in the municipal officials pursuant to Title 30A MSRA subsection 3758A violations and 3752 definitions, Title 17 MRSA subsection 2802 miscellaneous nuisances, and 2853 municipal officers may order nuisance abated to the code enforcement officer. This delegation includes the authority to conduct site inspections, issue corrective orders, and enter property to regulate the care, maintenance, and security of property determined to be a nuisance, health hazard, or junkyard.
There's the motion.
Second.
And so.
Yeah. Donnie's motion is Shelley seconds. Any comments or questions? Okay. All those, yeah, John.
Yeah, I've looked at the property, and I know Tom's been very concerned about it. He's contacted me, municipal attorneys, he's gotten some advice from them. I think he's going about this the right way. I mean, it is an eyesore, it's not an automobile junkyard, which has more teeth, it's not a dangerous property, but it is a nuisance, and it's a shame that I think Tom's really concerned with us.
Okay. So do you know if the Lances have been contacted regarding the site visit?
I'm not sure, I haven't been able to go over there with him.
Yeah.
But I know he's been out there, I guess there's two brothers that own the place.
Yeah. And they're not always there, so that's the reason why.
Seems like there's an awful lot of money right there laying on the ground, I don't know why
Yeah.
they haven't cashed it in.
All right. Thank you, John. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Moving on to the last item is a request for a reserve account expenditure. And what we have is an invoice from Wright Pierce for $3,569.77 for work performed up to date for the downtown revitalization plan.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the invoice for downtown revitalization for Ray Pierce in the amount of $3,569.77.
Donnie's motion,
Second.
and Shelley seconds. Questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. That's it for consent items. We don't have anything under correspondence. So we move on to old business, and the one item under old business is the downtown revitalization plan update. And so what Wright Pierce and Daryl Sterling are looking at is a public workshop to be held on Wednesday, May 30th, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the Rangeley Regional School. Residents and business owners are urged to participate. And they expect it to go till about 8 p.m. So there are a number of categories that they've identified that they would like public input on. So mark your calendars.
What's the date again?
May 30th at 6 p.m. at the school. Is that flyer going to be at the counter?
It certainly can.
Okay.
I think I'll have it on the bulletin board. Thank you. And be careful.
Maybe it could be at the school.
I said you might mention including the closet.
Yeah, including the Quasic, yeah.
There's a couple more, yeah.
So this downtown revitalization plan is not just for Rangeley downtown, but Aquasic Village as well. Comments, questions? Right. Moving on to section 9, and that would bring us new business and the NBRC grant. So I think John has some first-hand knowledge of that.
Yeah, Friday was the deadline for this grant. It's the Northern Border grant program that several years ago Representative Michu managed to get passed in Congress. And it'll provide up to $500,000. We submitted an application because it was the deadline, and I know Rebecca had intended to bring it up last week, but we had to cancel the meeting, so I signed the application. It talks about rebuilding the whole, a little more than a mile of road between Route 4 right up to the airport. It's a state-aid road, so the state part of this would be $500,000. The Northern Border grant would be $500,000. The total estimated cost is $1,130,500 We talked to M&H Construction about trying to do a private-public partnership, which would enhance the grant applications, because they like those kind of issues. It makes sense for them they've offered to contribute $50,000 in in-kind contribution to the project, because it makes sense for them, since they own land out by the airport, which I guess has been zoned as an industrial park. They also own land for a major housing development, which apparently is already in the works or approved. So this is certainly would enhance their properties, and it would require an additional $80,500 from the town toward the total cost, which could also be done by in-kind. But it's going to require, reconstructing that entire road would be excavating and putting new gravel, and apparently the town has a source of gravel, so. We did bring that up today. We had another meeting on the airport project, and we did bring this up because they are kind of hand in hand, so that meeting went very well. I thought I can talk about that later, but.
So this will go from the school to where they're gonna move the road?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's just over a mile, I understand, about 6,000 feet.
This has nothing to do with the road moving, this is
So just
the
rebuilding
lake or
rebuilding
there to
the
there.
existing
Okay.
road to where the airport project
Yep, okay.
relocates. That is.
Yeah.
So, this is, if, we put it in Friday to meet the deadline for one thing, but, and that was after I read the selectmen's policy, which does authorize the town manager to apply for grants. This kind of project can be, if it's awarded, can be accomplished through the year 2021. So in the overall scheme of, the whole project, it would make sense. MDOT couldn't do anything with their portion of it till at least 2019. So nothing for this year, and if it all goes through and we get the award, then the board would certainly have to vote to accept the award. So it makes sense to get it in now. We've met the deadline, so. That's pretty much an update.
Okay.
Seems like a good way to get the state and the federal government to participate in making a road much better.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add from this morning's economic development group with that?
No, that was about it, that Daryl Sterling went over. And
He
you
was
guys-
there today.
He was there this morning, and then he said he had he had a meeting in Augusta, I think.
That's the one
That was with
I
you,
was
yeah.
there, and Rebecca was
Yeah.
there for the town.
Yeah.
And,
So, but he explained the exact same thing, it's for that and sidewalks and things like that.
That was mentioned also.
Yeah.
It would improve the state way to school program for
Yes,
sidewalks.
yep.
And he talked about the one that's already awarded that come down from the overlook down to town, to where the sidewalk is now. And he also mentioned the downtown revitalization plan. So he really did a nice job.
Good.
And from what I could tell, all the people who were there, they think Rangeley has really good projects, and a really good plan coming together for a major, overhaul.
Yeah.
So the other people at the meeting were all three of our congressional delegation representatives were there. The DOT airport engineers, AvCog had their transportation person there. Diane Jackson, which represents the governor's office as far as economic community development. And I know a lot of those people already. So,
Yeah.
they were glad to see me back in action, so it was nice.
Now, we had money for Loon Lake Road in our construction loan that we have coming up,
Okay.
so that may cover that amount.
Possible. if it's all right, I'm not aware of that, but if that's in there, also because it's a state aid road, we receive, they change the name all the time, it used to be Europe, Urban Rural Improvement money, and prior to that it was state aid road money, and I think it's back to state aid road money now because they keep changing the words. But anyway, Rangeley receives about $32,000 a year that has to be spent on road reconstruction or any major improvements for roads. Doesn't have to be spent on state aid roads, it can be spent on local roads, but it can't just go into cleaning a ditch, it has to be construction.
Okay.
So that money could be used for this, so yeah, there's enough buffers in there to make sure the town meets its share.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's great. So John is also in the state legislature, so he represents the Rumford area, and this is the second year of his first term, running for re-election this fall.
In the primary in June, which I have no opponent.
You have no opponents, yeah.
But then in November, I do have an opponent.
Okay. All right. So that's a nice update, and Kenny, thanks for partnering with the town.
Yep. We'll go, make it, we'll go
Yeah.
down the road, not posted, and it'll be good.
Yeah.
Total legal, which is,
Why is it all marked out already then, just for engineering?
what part's marked out?
It's all painted all the way.
I don't know.
It says dot end here, it says, as if it's gonna go, it'd be.
They're gonna put an overlay on it.
Oh, yeah.
Every 7 years, they're gonna overlay that, but if that's something that, we know that we can do that in next year. I mean, it would be kind of a waste of money for DOT to overlay it, but if it's that bad and you really need that, that's all they can afford to do is put a Band-Aid on these roads, and that's unfortunate, because they only last a couple of years.
I think we ought to talk to them about not doing it.
That
Because
was
they're
my
gonna have
thought
the heavy truck
today.
traffic going up there doing the airport project, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
let's rebuild it, the airport's done, and put that money into the rebuild as opposed to just a overlay.
I would certainly suggest that too, and it is their road, by the way, state aid road, they're responsible for the maintenance of it.
Yeah.
I understand we plow it, but they have summer maintenance, which is construction.
Yeah.
That's probably what the marks are. If marks usually where they need to shim before they overlay.
Yeah. Yeah, Larry.
Another question on infrastructure, can someone get an answer for me sometime why we're treating 15 million more gallons than we're creating? We treated 40 million gallons and we only sold 34 million-ish or 25 million-ish gallons of public water. We're 15 million gallons off, meaning you're treating 15 million gallons that we are not pumping out of the water district.
Unless it's stuff they've been holding.
No, we're treating
I understand.
annually 15 million gallons more than we should be getting in, unless there's water, people that are on sewer that are not on water. Is that,
Well, I mean, the water district is,
no, I know it is,
yeah,
but it says they've sold 24 million gallons worth of water to us, and we claim we've treated 40 million or thereabouts, so.
Well,
and
I
we
wonder
have
the
that many leaks.
the fire
Hydrants.
department, that's, they don't you feel their,
That would be backwards, we're not treating a fire, that would be water we bought and never treated.
oh, that's
We're
right,
not-
treating,
We're treating
So
15
where'd you get
million
your-
gallons more than we're selling.
it's in the, yeah, we
If we
can,
own both.
we could
If, presumably, I'm saying if we own both, which we don't.
right, which we
But-
don't.
But we're treating 15 million gallons more than we come in. I don't understand. That seems like a big expensive.
Yeah, we can ask Keith.
It just seems,
Yeah, we'll ask the water district.
I mean, we could have that many leaks, but if we do that, it'd be worth fixing. I don't know what the cost of a treatment per gallon is, but it's gotta be significant.
Yes,
Well, you also have the lagoons get full from the rain, from the runoff from the land around it, and that has to be,
Okay, there's a number for that. We also have some evaporation, so give me that too.
he has the evaporation numbers too, I know Frank
So,
used to.
and that's probably a stable number. Just a question I have for the board, if you can find out. It just seems like a big, from a budget standpoint, it seems like a big number worth of treatment.
Yeah, well, the town manager oversees the sewer.
There might be an answer. It could be that there's more people on the sewer than there is on the water.
Are you talking sewer or water?
Talking both.
Oh,
You bought 20 million gallons and you processed 39
through
million.
the sewer,
Sewer.
through the sewer department.
Right. Just seems 15 million gallons.
I just wanna make sure I know
Right.
who to ask.
You're processing more than you bought
All right.
for some reason. That just, it's a budget question for me. I don't know. I just,
Okay.
it's a big difference. 40%.
All right, moving on to the Shore Road guardrail. So this is a memo from Keith Savage to Tim and John. Did you have a discussion with them about this, John, regarding this guardrail on Shore Road?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so we got a letter from a resident at 19 Shore Road. And looks like she initially had a conversation with Joe Roach in October. And now Keith about closing the gap of guardrail located at a certain telephone pole on Shore Road and Route 17. Needs another 80 feet of rail. It was suggested that I reach out to State DOT in regards to this issue, and she did do that. So the memo reads, Linda's been in contact with the town, previously Joe Roach and now myself, over the last year with concerns of traffic flow and speed over Shore Road. Her concerns are that of public safety for the residents of Shore Road, and on multiple occasions through summer's cars drag race, utilizing Route 17 and Shore Road. And she's requesting that the mid-entrance be barricaded. So it looks like MDOT has a guardrail crew placing rail on Route 16 on the Aquasic end, and stated that they would install requested rail when finished if the town supplied a letter of support. There are no findings of impeding emergency services by closing this section. So what do they need, a letter from the Board of Selectmen or from?
If you think they should, I mean, what it looks like to me is just to block that entrance between 17 and the road. See the picture?
Yeah,
If
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what she's talking about, it doesn't look like any dangerous situation. I don't know that DOT would put something up. They usually have rules that regulate
Who else does it affect?
deep banking.
Mark?
That's what I was gonna ask, that's one person that lives there. But maybe a lot of other people find it convenient to be able to pull in right there rather than go down and loop around, another quarter of a mile.
Yeah, this is a little,
So,
yeah, little,
It should be a community type thing and not just one person.
yeah, good point.
There is another opening 50 feet out. Out of this picture, it's like 50 feet, there's a guide rail split right here. This is just all dirt and gravel in the summertime.
There's no ditch there to speak of that you can't see it through the snow.
You drive in and out, it's like a part of the road.
So perhaps a public hearing in Aquasic?
I think you should,
Yeah, we don't want to close it with,
maybe we should meet with DOT first and see
Okay.
what they think, because I don't know that they would spend money to do that. Doesn't look dangerous. And it certainly looks like it's their responsibility.
what are the other people?
They
think?
say they will install it if the town gives a letter of support. It says they will do it. But
Oh, she says they.
All right.
So maybe follow up, yeah,
And you
Larry?
want to look into the increased traffic on Shore Road, because by John Benoist there, because that's gravel way, I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to put all your traffic up there.
no, this would remove that
That
as an
access.
option of, you cut right off the telephone pole in the corner and then go straight past Benoit's.
Yeah,
So it would get rid of that opening
Yeah, but
there.
then the Kevins and that's the world, you have to come all the way to 17, right? If they're coming north.
No, there's another
way out.
opening just beyond that.
'Cause that road
That's
goes-
narrower.
That road fails quickly right there by Bill Paul's old house.
And that's what they want. They want to stop the amount of traffic that cuts through there.
I think a public hearing in Quasic is a good idea.
Yeah.
See if the people on Shore Road all want it or just one.
Right, right.
I don't care one way or the other, but
So, John, if you just want to follow up with Keith and see where the dialogue has gone, and we can schedule a, because I mean, if DOT has already got a timeline that they're working with on this, and we should have a public hearing before that particular date, then it'd be good to know. And then we can have the public hearing at the firehouse.
And find out if they're even gonna do it, so.
Right.
how is that gonna change the flow though? If they're gonna take off by Long Church, then they're gonna run off through it all the way. If people take that
It's no-
shortcut, it's gonna add traffic to that zone. Right?
Seems so.
It seems so.
It's less convenient to go around the corner and then go through a little narrow area than it is this. This is like straight shot.
Nice wide.
It seems like you're gonna, I know, I understand what you're trying to do, but it seems like,
Especially that corner coming off of Benoit.
Right,
It's like
that's
straight
so-
out on the 17.
yeah, I think they're gonna keep on trucking all the way to,
They might.
I would love that traffic there,
We shall see.
All right. So John will check in with us for next meeting. And then the last thing under new business is to confirm the fire chief appointment, but I don't have anything in my folder.
Ted had not provided me any paperwork at the time. Did he give you
Okay.
a copy?
Just, show me a copy of the tentative agreement that he gave with the,
So I will have to get a hold of him and see if it's on his computer or where he left that at.
Okay.
he said he accepted the, minimum salary range, and, he gave a date of June,
June 3rd.
when the new chief could, no, that's not it. Back. Yeah, no,
Pretty sure it was June 3rd. Is that a Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would be June 3rd.
Or is it June 4th?
don't have it.
June 4th is a Monday.
June 4th.
And he has been up here to look around and probably to start looking for a place to live. He's ready to come in according to the letter of agreement that Jim had sent him. It was tentative, subject to the board's approval. And he's aware of that.
Donnie and I sat in on the interviews, and there were 5 interviews, 3 really, Johnny was there with 3 really kind of pulled apart from from the rest. And, you know, we all scored, had our own individual score sheets, and you guys have met him.
Yep.
He was at the funeral.
And then he came up a week or 2 ago and came around, met some of the local business people that were around and checked out the firehouses.
Yeah.
And met the fiance or wife.
Fiance.
And then he said at the funeral that he believes he secured a rental
Great.
already.
Yeah. He's currently the fire chief in LaGrange.
I didn't realize you didn't have that.
That's all right. And would rather raise a family in Rangeley. Okay.
Twins, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's also an instructor.
Yeah. That was really high on Tim Pellerin's list, was to have, because with your increased fire instruction requirements, and John's very well aware of that as well. Yeah, so Michael Bacon is his name, and he outscored the second place candidate by 8 points, which is significant.
The reason it's so important that he's an instructor is we don't have to hire somebody to come in here and train all the time. And there's serious amount of training going on.
Yeah.
And he's a very vetted instructor. Since he was offered the job, I talked to Jim Graves at Maine Fire Institute, and he has an excellent reputation. Very proactive, up to the standards, which is...
Yeah, he stood out.
Yeah. He did. Okay. So what we have here is an offer of probationary employment for the position of fire chief for Michael Bacon to begin on June 4th, 2018. Is that enough for a motion, or do I need to include the salary, or? All right.
What would happen is, I mean, if you approve him, then we'll have Anna Lee draw up a formal contract.
Okay, let's give her time to do that then.
So why don't you approve the tentative agreement, then we can go there, and then before he actually starts in June, you can act on a formal contract.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to offer probationary employment to Michael Bacon in the position of fire chief for the town of Rangeley with a start date of June 4th, 2018.
Second.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. All right. I'm going to hand this back to you, John, before it gets lost in my pile.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have the other one too,
Okay. Good catch. Next, that's it for new business. Town manager report is next, and as John alluded to before, he's got some airport updates as well, so we'll let John take care of his end of things.
Okay. Yeah, we met today in Augusta at noon time with, I already mentioned the congressional delegation from members from Senator Collins' office, Senator King's office, and Representative Poliquin's office. Also Diane Jackson from representing the State Department of Economic and Community Development. Joan Walton, who has been a long-time AvCog transportation planner, was there. Two members of the airport engineering staff for MDOT. Our engineers were there representing us, and our consultant, Mr. Sterling, and of course Rebecca and myself. I thought the meeting was very positive. The issue seems to be whether or not it would receive FAA funding of the total project, $11,500,000. Whether it would receive funding in 2019 or in 2018. The staff that you selected as engineers have produced what the FAA asked for on time. Tim signed that application on May 1st, and so it got in there on time. They expect they may hear about the grant by August. If they do, then the project wouldn't actually start till next year anyway, but if it's approved in August, then in the winter, they'd be able to remove trees, which apparently is a DEP issue. They prefer to have that kind of work done in the winter when the ground's frozen. So that it would actually enhance the project in that respect, if it were approved this year. They all seemed very excited about getting on board with this, and they're already in the process, the delegation, of drafting a joint Maine delegation letter highly supporting the project. They've all been on board with this for a whole year. Everybody seemed really excited about this happening. The only drawback is state bonding for the state share. So I asked what the state share was. It's 5%. It's about 500,000, a little more. And they were talking about the project possibly being funded this year through what they call discretionary funding, which happens to be leftover money from projects already approved that they can now allocate toward an additional project. So they don't seem concerned about enough money not being there, so they think there'll be enough money, and the Rangeley project is the top priority. So I asked the state, because the state legislature adjourned without acting on bond issues to be voted on in November, which is unfortunate, but there's about 100 worthwhile bills still on the table that are likely to die if the leaders don't call a special session, or if the governor doesn't call a special session. So I asked the state representatives there, does the state do the same thing as the federal government? Are there monies left over from already prior approved bonds that, like a discretionary fund? So the woman assured me that they don't do it that way, but if they needed to come up with $500,000, they could. So I was pleased with that. And again, it's not no construction this year, but if it's funded this year, then it would allow them in the winter to start the project, take out the trees, and then full construction next year. So, it was a very impressive meeting, very positive. From everybody who was there was very positive that this is going to happen. And just a matter of whether or not we get funded this year, or I have to wait for next year. So I was glad to be there. And I've known many of them from past experience, so I get a really good feeling that they're behind us.
Super. Any questions for John? So the Hunter Cove Bridge is something that it's going to be worked on, and we're going to speak to that.
Yeah, Keith had a request from Reed and Reed, I guess is the bridge contractor for the Hunter Cove Bridge. And MDOT usually has like a construction office trailer when they do major projects. So they need a place to put it, so they asked Keith, and he thought of a couple of places. They need to be able to tap the electricity, and they need to be able to have internet access. So the town's landfill on Route 4, the Old Town landfill, seemed to be a place that if you would allow it, that would work. It's about 4 miles away from the bridge. He also thought of the back corner of the Depot Street parking lot. I'm not sure where that is, but, and then he also mentioned that Coob's property might be something they would have to work out with the owner, private thing, so. I don't see where.
That's Larry Coob right there, but.
All right, I knew his name was Larry, but I didn't know.
But his brother Mike owns.
All right, Larry, so.
No, they're actually talking to us about Midtown only because it has internet and power.
Oh.
So I don't know whether we're gonna get together on the number of the rate, but they are discussing.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess what we need is would you allow, I guess in one of these places, it's standard to have a construction trailer
Yeah.
where they can open up plans, they can meet in the rain, they can, that they usually keep them there for the duration of the project. So it's up to you if you want to allow any of these, and then they'll have to work it out with Larry apparently.
Well,
The old
I have
dump is
partners,
closed.
I have partners, but they're talking about doing it in Midtown. We haven't had a meeting yet, but it looks like it's pretty positive that they want internet, electricity, and dry parking, so, and close by, so it naturally works. I didn't know we would need such a thing as a permit to have a construction trailer there, but we do.
Not so much a permit, but to allow, for the town to
Authorize the
allow
town.
them to use the old
Well, I hope that
landfill.
for a town project, we would allow such a thing, maybe not.
It's not really a town project, state bridge,
Yeah.
town road.
Proactive for the whole community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's only if we're gonna use the old dump. If it's on the midtown, I don't think it's, we don't have to
No.
do that.
All right.
Take away all my revenue.
There's nowhere maybe we can get in.
So at this point, is Keith just gonna look into what is the most appropriate, and
I
if they,
No, I think he just wants to know if that's something you would allow, particularly the old dump land.
yeah, I-
And if that, it might not be suitable because they
Mhm.
need to have their electricians hook up from the pole to get power, so.
right. No, it doesn't seem to be any concern
I think it works for them.
or issues, so,
I'll pass that on.
That's the closest one. That's the three you mentioned.
probably not until they absolutely decide. Yeah. All right. What else you got for us, John? Anything?
I think that's it. I've come in 3 days, which is what you have in my agreement, minimum of 3 days, so.
So what days were you thinking?
It's gonna vary.
Yeah?
And so like, for instance, last week I was gonna come in Friday and then Monday because you were gonna have your meeting and we prepared the warrant on Friday and then we found out you canceled the meeting because you didn't have a quorum, so then I thought, my grandson in Massachusetts, they had grandparents stay at their school on Friday, so I said, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought,
Let's go do that.
and the girls there told me that's much more important than what a
Yes.
grandparents' day. So it's certainly gonna be a little flexible, so I'll be here for every selectman meeting. Try to be here the Friday before, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking this week I'll be off tomorrow, probably be here Wednesday and
Yeah,
then Friday.
okay.
But since I've been here for 2 weeks, I've heard a whole lot of town policies. And
Yeah,
tried to get familiar with the town, been out to the airport, been out to the transfer station. I had a tour all around the land of the sewer treatment facility. That's quite impressive, I mean, what you have here. The town is beautiful. I mean, when I first came here, and 3 weeks ago, the road coming from Byron over the height of land was like driving over the mountains. And it has calmed down a little bit
Yeah,
now.
it has.
Seen 4 moose so far and 7 deer. And 2 turkeys. So there's plenty of wildlife on the way. And the town is amazing. It's a beautiful town here. I really think I'm going to enjoy this.
good, good.
So that's what I've been doing for 2 weeks, and I met a lot of the staff. And, I think, met the department head.
Yeah, super.
I think it's getting along so far.
Yeah,
I think we'll have a good experience here while we're looking for a new town manager.
yeah, it's wonderful. Maybe we can work in a meet and greet once the fire chief is on, have a afternoon invite the public and they can talk with you and meet the new fire chief as well.
Fine. That would be good timing to do both.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get that on the agenda. Okay. The police had 178 calls for service of those 76 were building checks and 49 were community policing. 2 convictions, theft. They got a guilty conviction, $150 fine, and disorderly conduct, a guilty conviction, and they were incarcerated for 14 days. Fire department, monthly meetings, and firefighter 1 and 2 training that was hosted here. A few trees and wires down, and medical assist on May 1st. Next for the calendar, we've got on the agenda, May 21st, which is a week from today, at 5:45, we'll hold a public hearing for special amusement permits. They don't list specifically what they are. And then we need a public hearing for the town meeting, which must be scheduled and held by June 1st. So that will be something we need to do right now is, yes, Kenny?
Hey, the special amusement permits, is that done all at once, or are they like the liquor permits, liquor licenses?
All at once.
It is all at once? So if
Yes.
you want one, then you gotta get it in?
Cash has already got yours in.
Oh, he does?
Yep.
Okay. I just knew he was gonna have some.
He's way ahead of you.
Good, that's good he is. Thank you.
So is the annual report is, yeah, go ahead, John.
Could I just mention that before you schedule your public hearing for the town meeting, I have a commitment for May 22nd and 23rd in the evening. I'm the moderator for 2 school systems in Rumford and Dixfield, so any other time I can certainly make that prior to June 1st. You have to have it by June 1st, so.
Okay. All righty. Yes,
I
Tricia,
have dates the school's available if you're gonna have it at the school.
you probably should. So what have you got for dates, Tricia?
I have Thursday, May 24th, Friday, May 25th, Tuesday, the 29th, and Thursday, the 31st.
All right. Oh, for crying out loud, I'm locked out of my phone. I'm trying to pull up my calendar. I've got the school, I've got sports and, yeah.
We don't have anything to 29.
All right. Donnie says we don't have anything the 29th.
Just on paper.
Yeah. And as far as sports conflicts, the middle school has a home game versus Stratton. They'll be done by 5:30, so if there was a 6 o'clock meeting, you know, any parents at that event could attend. Does give enough notice. Well, Dave, how does the 29th look for you?
It's gonna be a busy week.
It's going to be a busy week. Well, we've got the public information.
Well, that's Memorial Day weekend, the week before. If we could do it the week before, it'd be better.
All right, let's see here. 22nd and 23rd is out.
The 24th was on, right?
Yeah, the fire department.
Fire department meet on the 24th.
That night's truck checks out, so they can, if it works.
Sure.
He said Thursday night, the fire department meets. We could, I'm sure we could swap it
Because it's either that or a Friday.
I don't think the public would like a
Do
Friday.
stuff on Friday.
Just want to make sure that there's plenty of time for notice. It gives, 10 days. How does it look for you?
24th.
What about you, Shelley?
The 24th is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you can't do the 22nd and 23rd.
23rd, 24th, you can?
You can the 24th, right, John?
Yeah, the 22nd, Tuesday night, and the
22nd,
23rd,
23rd.
Wednesday night I can't.
Just looking out for you.
I
Yeah,
can't.
I can't do the 22nd.
yeah. All right. So we need word to get out to the nonprofits. They can do their spiel then and,
Which date did you decide?
I guess the 24th.
Okay. 6 o'clock?
So, yeah, so we'll make a presentation of the warrant, the budget, and if department heads could be handy to answer any questions from from the crowd, like the tricky question Mr. Koob asked a little while ago about the volume of water being treated versus what's used. So, it is. So if department heads could be present, and again, nonprofits that have got donation requests, they could be there as well. Mark?
So on the 21st, that's public hearing at 5:45. Does that mean you're having your regular scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting right after that at 6
Yes.
o'clock?
Yeah. All right. Any other business to share before we leave the town manager report, John?
All I can think of.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to Board of Selectmen oral communication. Anyone have information to share?
I do.
Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, I've been approached by a tremendous amount of local residents and businesses about Tim leaving. And they all have suggested that we try and see if we can't negotiate some counteroffer for Tim to stay. So I'd like to make a motion to enter negotiations with Tim to see if we can counteroffer Harrison's offer to keep him in town.
Any thoughts?
Okay. Second.
Is that a second?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a question?
Yeah. How does that work when he has a signed contract?
It's never too late.
Huh?
It's never too late.
Yeah, I mean, Tim didn't give us the offer to keep him. He had delivered his letter of resignation as fire chief to us individually, you know, not at a meeting, and let us know he had a contract with the town of Harrison to start on the 14th. So,
Are we talking about just town manager, right? Not
Town manager.
okay. Just make sure.
yeah, Mark?
This is an action item that you're talking about taking now, not oral communication. Is this appropriate to have?
We're also in the middle of a motion, which there isn't supposed to be any public to speak.
Okay.
Tim said he got a better offer, and we never counteroffered, so I think we owe it to the community to make him a counteroffer.
Yeah, we certainly can. I mean, it's,
I guess I would see it as if he wanted to apply, he would have applied through the process. I mean, it's still open.
yeah.
To that, I mean, because we've already got the search going, we're already starting to spend the money.
That's true. We've got Annalee Rosenblatt, our human resources consultant, who worked with Tim on an ad to post on Maine Municipal's website. And that's ad ran for a month. And I don't know where Annalee is as far as, she hasn't updated the board to see if she's reached out to folks yet. Because I think, Tracy, you pulled the ad, or expired on the 30th?
It expired on April 12th, and she had me extend it to the end of April, and then she had me extend it through the month of May.
Okay,
So it's been extended twice. That's all I know.
okay.
Frankly, I thought we should have asked him if there was any way he would have stayed before. We didn't. I don't know, it would make things a lot easier than going through a whole process if we can do this. That's my thinking. Because the process is gonna, to get a new town manager is gonna cost us a pile of money.
Yeah, as long as the town doesn't get sued by the town of Harrison, who has a contract with them.
That's his problem.
Donnie!
No, it's not, I mean,
We can make a counteroffer.
They're not gonna sue us, they're gonna sue him. And usually the contract probably, as our contracts do, for the first 6 months, you can get out of the contract for any reason.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's not gonna be the most popular person in Harrison if this happens, but
Yeah.
I don't care. About Harrison much. Anyway, and there's not a day go by that I don't have 2 or 3 people asking me why the heck he left. And, you know, anyway, I don't think it would hurt.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt. We can schedule an executive session with him at our next meeting, and
Do it.
which is Monday.
Monday. Well, that's a good thing, because that way we'll either know on Monday whether we're gonna have to keep the process going or not.
Yeah.
Kinda.
We need to, I'll let Annalee know in case she needs to be here.
Yeah, she probably should.
Yeah.
At least by phone.
So, anyhow, any
I
other-
guess where we've already spent the money, I'd rather see him
Well, we haven't
Yeah,
spent
apply.
we haven't spent that
I'm
much
sorry.
money.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
we've done is
We're
advertising.
gonna spend a lot more before this is over if we
Well,
don't.
we can, perhaps Annalee's got, you know, a proper way this can be vetted, so.
Right.
yeah, I don't feel right voting on it without talking to our HR
Consultant.
consultant.
Okay, yeah.
I don't,
So you got a motion and a
We
second.
have a motion and a
Yeah.
second. We're just, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, so I'll give Annalee a call and see what she has to say.
somebody will need to get in touch with him. If we're gonna have him here Monday.
Yep.
Can you
It just doesn't look good.
call Tim? It doesn't look good the way he left either.
I think Tim's gonna be back, isn't he still a fire chief until?
Yeah, he's still the part-time fire chief.
He's gonna be here part-time, so you
Yeah.
feel free to talk to him. And it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a 30-day.
Okay.
If he has a contract, most contracts, even the one that you have with me, allows either one of us to get out of it in 30 days, so.
I don't think it's an issue.
I mean, if you can get him to come back, from what I've seen, he's done one heck of a job for you folks. And I'm only here until you find a new one,
Right.
whatever that takes, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. All right.
Whoa.
All right, any other oral communication? All right, no executive session, so a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Don's motion.
Second.
Dave seconds. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you all for coming. So I got locked out of my phone.